No, it's not 2022, and yet there are Canadian cities setting records for home price highs, with a few more set to join. It is, in fact, March 2025, and yes, there are a few Canadian real estate markets that I'm going to be talking about today that are on absolute fire, and no, Toronto is not one of them. We break things down here on Bald Prairie Real Estate by individual cities, not just looking at the Canadian real estate market as a whole. My name is Matthew Pfeiffer, that's my trusted assistant Matilda, and this is my monthly Canadian real estate market update.
In their monthly press release, the Victoria Real Estate Board said it was another stable month in their market, and well, that's kind of true. If you go back to the pre-pandemic numbers, which I would agree is probably more representative of a more stable market, well, sales are basically in line with that. New listings are elevated and active inventory is slightly elevated. Overall, citywide, the market balance is leaning towards a buyer's market, so buyers should have a little bit more leverage than sellers right now. And the Victoria Real Estate Board had another awesome gem when they're talking to sellers, saying you need to make sure that you price and present your house according to the current market conditions. Well, yeah. That's what happens when it's a balanced or a slightly buyer's market. You can't just stick the sign out front and get a whole bunch of offers over asking pricing market. Houses don't sell themselves in this market. And speaking of prices, when you look at single family homes, that has actually seen a 4% year-over-year increase in prices, while apartment style condos has seen a 1% decrease in prices. I expect this divide in the market to continue throughout 2025. It was another fairly slow month in the Vancouver real estate market, but one that has two very different stories. There's near record high levels of inventory for apartment style condos, while near record low levels of inventory for single family homes right now. Sales to active listing ratio favoring buyers when it comes to apartment style condos, pushing down prices. Whereas when it comes to single family homes, you're seeing those record low levels of inventory, sales to active listing ratio favoring sellers, pushing up prices. So depending what type of property you're looking for in Vancouver, you're likely seeing two very different sets of market conditions. Talk to your agent about what type of property you want to buy, what neighborhoods, what price point, and have them explain to you what type of market you should be expecting. And if you don't already have a fantastic real estate agent, don't worry, I've got a great network of agents in Vancouver. If you look in the description of this video, there's a link to my calendar where you can book me in for a call. Clearly, the uncertainty around global and world events is also putting a lot of uncertainty in the real estate market. I don't blame anyone for saying, I'm not really ready to jump in to make a massive purchase with all the uncertainty right now. Digging through the stats of the Vancouver real estate market, I saw two things that really stuck out to me. First was a new listing decline January to February. Almost never happens. And then we saw as well a month-over-month decline in the benchmark price. That has not happened one single time January to February in the last decade. Looking at the Calgary real estate market, you have to go back to pre-pandemic times to find a time when home sales were down not only year over year, but also versus my 5-year rolling average. Interestingly enough, it's under $500,000 where Calgary is seeing the most increase in new listings and active inventory. You're definitely seeing those investors that bought into the hype about the Calgary real estate market, predominantly from Toronto and Vancouver, are finding out that the Calgary real estate market doesn't operate under the same conditions as Vancouver and Toronto. When you look at the single family home market, that is holding up much better. Sales are stronger, prices are better, and inventory is much lower. Let's not get crazy here though.
All right, let's just stay calm here. Don't get all crazy on me.
And start saying the Calgary real estate market is crashing. We need to put this into context. If you went back to 2019 and told agents then they were going to sell over 1,700 homes in the month of February, they would have all laughed you out of the building. For reference, 970 homes ended up selling in February that year. So saying this year's 1,700 homes is terrible, the market's crashing, etc. Well, that's nearly double what they sold in 2019. And that wasn't even a terrible year in the Calgary real estate market. There's a lot of people whose perceptions of the Calgary real estate market has been skewed by recent history. Don't let it skew yours.
In Edmonton, the spring real estate market is in full swing right now. Interestingly enough, it is the semi-detached market that actually saw the largest year-over-year increase in sales at about 12. Looking at townhouses, they saw a small increase as well. Condos and single-family homes actually saw a small decrease in year-over-year sales. For single-family homes, it's not because of a lack of demand. Nearly 60% of all the homes that sold last month in Edmonton were single-family homes. It's the lack of supply, especially in single-family homes, that's driving home prices. Single-family homes actually saw a 12% year-over-year price increase. Again, double-digit price increases for single-family homes in Edmonton right now. As a home buyer in Edmonton, there's a couple of things you need to know. The first is be prepared for competitions. Most listings are seeing multiple offers right now, and the vast majority are selling at or above asking price. We're also seeing more unconditional offers, meaning no inspection, no financing conditions at all being placed on offers. If you have a house to sell in Regina, can you give me a call? No, seriously, give me a call. I got 15 buyers looking for houses right now, and we're struggling to find them anything. Last month, about 50% of all the homes that sold within 2 weeks, and virtually all of those sold at or above asking price. If you're a buyer in Regina right now, you better be prepared to be competing against other buyers. Less than 30% of all the homes that sold lasted on the market for a month or more. If you're liking a house you see online, you want to get out and see it right away. $200,000 to $500,000 is the meat and potatoes Regina market. Last year, over 65% of all the homes sold were in that price range. Right now, less than half of the active inventory is priced within that range. And if you're looking for single family homes at that price point, there's less than 100 for sale right now. With how much competition there is amongst buyers right now and how many multiple offers we're seeing, I was a little surprised to see that benchmark price only up 2% year over year, although we did see a fairly noticeable jump last year, January to February. This year, we still saw nearly a 0.5% increase month over month. And if that were to continue through the balance of the year, which it won't, we would see home prices in Regina increase about 6% year over year to $335,000, which would surpass the 2022 all-time highs of $334,000. And I am expecting at some point this year, we will see that composite benchmark price eclipse the all-time high in Regina.
Have you ever wondered why dogs float so well in water? It's because they're good boys. If you have a terrible joke I can use in the future, put it in the comments below.
Across the board, agents in Saskatoon telling me we need more listings for sale. There's nothing for buyers to find out there. They're competing over absolutely everything. And unfortunately, new listings are trending in the wrong direction right now. Last month in Saskatoon, about half of the homes that sold were sold in the first weekend they were on the market. And virtually all of those homes sold at or above asking price. So if you're a home buyer in Saskatoon right now, you need to get out and see those houses when they first come up for sale. And you need to be prepared that you're likely going to be competing against other buyers to buy that house. Only about 35% of all the homes that sold lasted for 30 days on the market. And in 2024 in Saskatoon, about 55% of all the home sales were priced between $300,000 and $600,000. Right now, less than 45% of the total active inventory is priced within that range. If you're looking for single family homes in that range, there's less than 100 available right now. Home prices in Saskatoon are up 6% year over year, 0.5% month over month. If that were to continue for the balance of the year, which I don't expect it will, we would see home prices increase an additional 6% this year. I do think though, we will see that composite benchmark price in Saskatoon start creeping into the mid 400s at some point this year. Agents in Winnipeg are telling me things are very similar to what I'm seeing in the Regina real estate market, and that is the lack of inventory is holding back home sales right now, and it's also creating a lot of panic amongst buyers. We're seeing some buyers starting to submit unconditional offers, but most listings right now are seeing multiple offers and selling at or above asking price. While the 885 homes that were sold a month is technically down 2% from my 5-year average, that's because back in 2021, there were over 1,200 homes sold in a month. That's badly skewing the average. This past February was actually the third busiest all time in Winnipeg. New listings was also the second lowest in the last decade, and active inventory. As a home buyer in Winnipeg, here is what you need to know. Being prepared is probably the most important thing, and then getting to those listings quickly so you can view them, because there is more home buyers right now than there are listings. So we're seeing a lot of competition amongst buyers right now. Be prepared that you're going to probably see that house sell at or above asking price, and that there may be unconditional offers that are submitted against you as well. This past month was a slow one for home sales in Toronto. No doubt weather played a factor into that. When you've got brutally cold weather combined with a couple of snowstorms, that's going to slow things down. But I'm not convinced it's by any means the only factor, nor the biggest. There's so much uncertainty around job losses, tariffs, and the economy as a whole. I can see why people are not jumping up and down to go out and spend over $1 million to buy a house right now in Toronto. When I'm talking with agents in Toronto, they're telling me that the condo market is an absolute disaster, especially that pre-construction market. Yeah, thank you, Captain Obvious. That one was pretty easy to spot from a mile away. If you are looking at buying a condo in Toronto right now, though, there's over 8 months of inventory in the downtown market segment, so you as a buyer have a lot of leverage over sellers to negotiate a fairly good deal for yourself if that's what you're looking for. Agents were also telling me that it's really not a great time to buy a rental property. I've seen that myself personally because investors from Toronto are giving me calls because they can't make any money and they're saying, well, what about Regina as an option? And taking another quick look at prices here, they are down year over year citywide for that composite benchmark price. They are up month over month. That is what happens in the spring market typically, so don't be surprised by that. Don't buy into any crazy hype over that. They are seeing single family home prices down about 1% year over year, whereas condos are down about 3.5% year over year. Taking a quick look at prices just to wrap things up here, month over month prices have increased. That happens in a spring market almost every single year. They're down about 2% year over year for the composite benchmark price. If you want to break it out by property type real quickly, single family homes are down about 1%, sometimes a little bit less. And the condo market, well, that's down about 3.5% right now. Clearly, all the uncertainty in the world with tariffs and everything else going on is weighing on people's minds. And even more so in Ottawa, being a government town, when you have the very real prospect of an election coming up, that tends to slow the real estate market down. When there's a possibility that a government change, that usually slows things down even more. Quickly looking at prices, breaking it down by property type, single family homes are up about 5%. Townhouses are up about 3.5%, and even condos are up almost 2% right now. The big wild card, of course, in Ottawa is going to be what happens with an election. Like I said, if we do have an election, it's probably going to have a slowing effect on the real estate market, but we'll have to wait and see. When I was talking to real estate agents about the Montreal real estate market, they said it is on fire, and it reminded them of the pandemic times. In fact, this past month was the 4th busiest February, only behind 2020-21's crazy sales numbers, and basically on par with where they were in 2019 and 2022 for home sales. They were also telling me that about 35% of all sales are seeing multiple offers right now, with single family homes and plexes being the hottest part of the market, especially in that $500,000 to $1.5 million price point. Single family homes continue to be in short supply, well below normals. While if you're shopping for a condo, good for you. You've got a little bit more selection to choose from and probably some more negotiation power on pricing. When it comes to home prices in Montreal, they just set a new all-time high for that composite benchmark price at $556,000, and I'm anticipating it to continue to rise through the spring market. But of course, the tariff situation could have a very significant impact on things. I just talked about that in my most recent video, how I kind of think tariffs could play into the Canadian real estate market. I'll put a link to that video in the description of this video. Agents in Halifax are telling me right now, the market has started off very strong, and the numbers show that. It's better for the first 2 months of the year than the previous 2 years. They're also telling me that it's first-time home buyers that are driving the real estate market. They seem to be fairly confident in their jobs and the economy, even with the threat of tariffs. And that does make a little bit of sense with Halifax's economy being very much a public sector driven economy. They're feeling some confidence in their employment security. Approximately 45% of all the homes selling in Halifax are selling at or above asking price, although that overbid amount seems to be capped at about $20,000 to $25,000 right now. As has been the case for a very long time in Halifax, the most competition amongst buyers is in that sub $600,000 category. My active inventory stat right now is badly skewed. The 855 homes for sale right now is technically up 43%, but that's only because back in 2022, at this time of year, there was only 180 homes for sale in Halifax. And I expect these numbers to be kind of skewed for a while because of how busy and how crazy the Halifax real estate market was back in 2021 and 2022. It's going to continue to skew that 5-year average for a while. Don't read too much into the average price dropping in Halifax month over month. As I've said before, average price has a lot of volatility into it. Clearly, though, the direction is home prices increasing right now in Halifax.